Hi, good morning. Thank you, Werner, for the great introduction. I'm really excited today to be sharing the story about N26 and how we're building a bank in the cloud with AWS. For those of you who aren't familiar with N26, we're a German-based mobile bank based here in Berlin. Our mission is building the bank the world loves to use. And when you think about banking, the word love isn't often in the same sentence. We're out to change that. We offer a simple promise that is a new approach to banking, focused on providing the best digital experience and all at a better price. We are also not a tiny bank either. We've moved beyond startup to scale up. We serve more than 2.3 million customers across Europe and process more than $1.5 billion of transactions per month. And so this brings some interesting challenges for us as a bank. An example of some of our products is our latest one called Spaces. And it's really about bringing simplicity to the way that people manage their money. And we want to offer this in a very simple and easy-to-use manner through intuitive interfaces like drag and drop. And if you're a customer, you can access our Spaces very much like this. However, I'm not here to talk about our product. I want to talk about behind the scenes and how we go about building that product. And so we have a very interesting challenge. We're a German bank with a German banking license. And this means that we're regulated, controlled, and audited. And many people think this slows us down. Our tech teams have a different goal. We want to have the speed of a startup and the security of a bank. And in order to share a couple of examples, I need to talk to you a little bit about how we build our services. So in our tech teams, we have 5S engineering principles. And these principles are about how we let teams make decisions and make good decisions based on what we'd like. We challenge people when they're thinking about new practices or process to think about how they live out all of these different principles. Now, as a bank, you'll be glad to hear that security is one of those 5 principles, and it's not the only one. And every time that we pick a practice or process, we want everyone to use all of these at the same time, so they're explicitly not prioritized. 2 key practices I want to explore with you today and how AWS has really helped us are about how we implement continuous delivery and infrastructure as code. So I'll explain a little bit about both of them. So first, continuous delivery. Now, I know many of you here probably use continuous delivery, but from my time working in banking in the UK, I can tell you that it's not a very common practice. So we've really doubled down on implementing continuous delivery and pipelines as much as possible in all of our processes, and it really lets us live up to our 5S engineering principles. Every single code that goes into production is code reviewed. It has the 4I principle. We've done away with manual checklists as much as possible, and we've really focused on the automation that Werner was talking about before. So every single change, when it makes it into production, has passed automated security tests, automated functional tests, automated deployments. We build more than 800 times per day, and it's only the successful ones that pass all of these automated checks that make their way into production. When a build passes from one environment to the next, we actually capture an AMI, which we'll need as we talk about the next stage of benefits. And then we deploy these to EC2 instances in each different environment that we have. When we deploy, we follow the live canary pattern. And this means that we have services, and often multiple services, behind an elastic load balancer. When we want to upgrade a particular service, we take one instance out of the cluster, we automatically upgrade it, and then we run a series of automated tests. As long as everything passes, then we're happy that things can go back into the cluster, and we can automatically upgrade the rest of the nodes in that cluster. What's really great is we can do this without our customers knowing and provide the service that we want. Now, AWS has been a really great partner to helping us implement continuous delivery. What's really fantastic about this process is we don't have snowflake servers. We're not afraid of blowing away a new machine and bringing up a new service, and we can actually have immutable infrastructure. If we have a problem, we can easily roll back because we've got AMI snapshots to be confident that things are working. And as load increases, we can add more instances to the node for scalable services. For our more complex processes, we can also choose the right type of EC2 instance that gives us the advantages that we care about and implement the right level of controls that we want in order to stay regulated and controlled. Let's talk about infrastructure as code. So even though AWS provides user interfaces where you can click and create your new construct, we choose a different approach about using tooling that benefits from the APIs that Amazon has. And this means that everything from server configuration, network zones, service settings, and deployments are all managed through infrastructure as code. And the great thing is we apply the same principles of continuous delivery to infrastructure as code. Everything is code reviewed, everything goes through checks and automated. And this allows us to really live up to our 5S principles. Every change is traceable, every change is auditable, and every change is peer reviewed. So AWS has really helped us with infrastructure as code. We use VPCs and AWS organizations to create strong separation amongst our services. Operating AWS also means we scale a lot better. So often we have one sort of DevOps person per 150 types of instances, and we can scale and change this much more rapidly because of our infrastructure as code. It's really helped us keep up to the pace of change as our organization goes through hypergrowth and as we evolve our product and service set. The great approach with infrastructure as code, it also reduces the amount of human error. Because everything is automated, you don't have people making mistakes because they're just simply following some sort of checklist. A good example about how we've benefited from this is as we add new services, a simple line in our sort of configuration means it automatically benefits from our backup and recovery processes, which AWS backups really help us with. So the big question you're probably asking yourselves is, how has this actually paid off for us? Perhaps you might remember from last year, Meltdown and Spectre. So these were very big vulnerabilities announced to the technology community. If you had a different application working on the same server, this hardware vulnerability meant that it could potentially get access to memory. So obviously, it's a big deal. It affected billions of systems globally, and I can probably guess that some of you are maybe even affected today because you had that Snowflake server that you're afraid of wiping away and fixing. So let's see how AWS really helped us deal with this situation. So 3rd of January last year, 2 Google researchers announced this vulnerability to the wider public. Intel confirmed that very same day that this indeed was a hardware vulnerability. Unfortunately, they released a fix in the form of a software patch the very next day. AWS was very responsive, and they updated their base kernel and made it available to the general public. Now, we use our continuous delivery practices and infrastructure as code to take an updated version of our image and run it through all of our different sort of testing environments. And this means we could do continuous delivery and deployments with our new image, incrementally rolled out across all our environments, and be confident we're sort of saving and securing all of our server infrastructure. And a very short time later, we'd completely rebuild our infrastructure, confident we were protected from Meltdown and Spectre. How many of you could confidently say you could do that? So we have proven with AWS that you can deliver with the speed of a startup and the security of a bank. And if there's anything I would like to leave you with, is that yes, you can have both speed and security. AWS has been a really great enabler for helping us implement both continuous delivery and infrastructure as code. They make it easy. And for those of you in a regulated, controlled environment, you can benefit from AWS's level of granular control to choose the right level of controls that you want to have. I'm Patrick Quayle, working with N26, building the bank the world loves to use. Thank you very much.